You remember the sound of a dial-up modem connecting. You also know exactly what it feels like to scroll TikTok until 2 in the morning without meaning to. If both of those are true for you, you belong to a strange, unofficial generation stuck between two completely different internets. Today, we explain what that in-between actually did to your brain. Picture this. You had to wait 45 seconds for a photo to load. You also now expect a video to buffer in under a second and get annoyed if it doesn't. You remember writing an away message before you left the house. You also post your location in real time without thinking twice. These aren't just two habits. They're two entirely different operating systems running in the same head. Psychologists don't have a clean label for this group. Too young to be Gen X, too old to feel like Gen Z, and too internet-shaped to fully belong with either. That gap isn't just a joke about pop culture references. It shaped something real. Here's the first piece. You developed what we can call dual-speed patience. The dial-up years trained your brain to wait. Loading bars, buffering wheels. You learned that good things sometimes take time and that boredom while waiting was just part of life. Then, without warning, the internet flipped. Everything became instant. Videos autoplay. Messages deliver in half a second. Attention spans around you shortened fast. Your brain now runs two competing systems, one that still tolerates waiting and one that expects everything immediately. That's why you can sit through a slow, boring task without much frustration, but also feel a flash of irritation when a page takes 3 seconds to load. Most people only have one of those settings. You have both, and they fight each other constantly. That's only the first piece, though. There's a second one, and it's less about speed and more about exposure. You were one of the first people to build an identity online before anyone had rules for what that meant. Early social media had no real privacy settings, no adult supervision on tone, and no cultural understanding of what oversharing even was. You posted things at 13 that would horrify you now. Nobody warned you because nobody knew yet. The adults around you were learning the internet at the same speed you were, sometimes slower. This created something psychologists call early public exposure without a script. You learned identity formation in front of an audience before you'd even figured out who you were privately. That's part of why so many people in this in-between group feel a strange, specific kind of secondhand embarrassment about their own past selves. It's not normal shame. It's the discomfort of having built your identity in public, in real time, with zero editing tools. Now, here's where these two pieces combine, and it explains a very specific feeling a lot of you have. You are fluent in two eras that don't talk to each other. The patient, offline-first version of you, and the instant, always online version of you. Neither generation before or after fully understands both halves. Gen X remembers dial-up, but never had a smartphone in middle school. Gen Z never experienced true offline boredom. You're the only group holding both cards at once. That's why this group often describes feeling like a translator between generations at work or at home. You explain memes to older coworkers and explain patience to younger ones. It's exhausting, but it's also a real skill, and most people don't realize it's a skill at all. So what do you actually do with this? First, stop treating your dual-speed brain as a flaw. The fact that you can slow down and speed up depending on the situation is rare adaptability, not a glitch. Notice when you're in slow mode versus fast mode, and let yourself use the right one on purpose instead of feeling guilty about either. Second, give yourself permission to mute the noise around your early internet years. You didn't do anything wrong. You were the test group for a technology nobody understood yet, including the adults in charge of you. That's not embarrassing. That's just what being early looks like. Third, use your in-between position on purpose. You're one of the only people who can genuinely translate between generations. That's not a burden, that's leverage, especially at work and relationships and in how you talk to people 20 years older or younger than you. You're not confused about which generation you belong to. You belong to both, and neither one had the manual for what that would feel like. If this explains something you've never been able to put into words, subscribe. We break down one part of your mind like this every week. And if you want the 2-question quiz to find your exact internet era mix, it's linked in the description below.